Everybody, thanks for joining us. This is Chris Ruvo, Executive Editor with ASI's media team. I'll be hosting today's discussion. The topic for our chat is one that's on the mind of every promotional products distributor. How can you make the first quarter of 2021 a success for your distributorship? Admittedly, it can seem like a very tough task. The Q4 holiday sales surge is over, and of course, the business challenges remain. Nonetheless, there were distributors who turned 2020 into a successful year for their businesses, despite the historic hurdles that had to be overcome. And those distributors have strategies for doing the same thing in Q1. Today, we'll be talking to two of them. Julie Woodall is owner of Wisconsin-based Promotion Perfection powered by Halo. Not only did she engineer success in 2020, she shared her business building strategies with colleagues around the country, an act that earned her the nickname the Rainmaker. Also joining us is Christopher Farris. Chris is founder and CEO of Massachusetts-based Boost Promotions. As many businesses suffered last year, Chris found ways to not only adapt, but thrive. This included orchestrating a 7-figure PPE order for a national convenience store company. So Julie, Chris, thank you both for being with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So let's get into why people are here. Talk first a little bit, if you can, about your 2020. Just briefly tell us, and Chris, we could start with you, just how 2020 went and why it was successful for you.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. First of all, 2020 obviously was a challenging year, right? So we had pretty much 3 months of normality, I guess. And then what we did quickly was just adapt to the situation and started selling a new category or expanded category, PPE. Obviously, we have sanitizer and things of that nature already in our industry, but when everything shut down and your regular orders weren't coming in, we really had to change and adapt to what was there. So what we did was make sure that our supply chain was intact prior to. We've already heard a lot about it with some China affiliates and everything else. So we already knew what was coming. And I mean, they were in February asking me, do I need masks? I was like, no, right? Because it wasn't a thing yet. So we just, and over the course of the past couple of years anyway, with all the tariffs, we've really secured our supply chain and put a lot of infrastructure and things into the supply chain. So when this happened, it was very, very, I'm not gonna say easy, it was easier. To acquire PPE from various countries. So that's kind of what we did. And then throughout the shutdown and the COVID 3 months, I guess it was, I implemented some new services in order to kind of help our clients, because we just saw a lot of things. Obviously, there's a new norm, no offices, and nobody had access to any of their current merch. So we just made sure that we put in new additional services that would support the new world that we lived in at that particular time, and also going forward. And a lot of, probably 80% of America is still in the same situation at being at home. So that's kind of what we did to get through the 2020 and then still into 2021.
And just real quickly, how did sales end up for the year? Were you up year over year for the year? And if so, how much?
Yeah, we were up. And I'm not going to break it down to category because we know what the category was that really made that difference. But we're probably up. It was close to 18%.
Okay, 18%. Fantastic achievement for sure, given what went on last year. And Julie, you pulled off some fantastic achievements last year as well. Can you tell us a bit about them?
Sure. Thank you for having me. One of the things that I focused on initially when the shutdowns happened were I had local people that needed masks, and I had access to masks that were already on the ground. Supply chain, as you mentioned, Chris, was just huge. If you didn't have it on the ground, it wasn't going to get to your client, and your credibility was going to be ruined because you were going to make a promise you could not keep. I was lucky enough to have masks on the ground, and so I was able to get them to my local people, and I chose to cold call businesses that I knew were really hurting. I did local senior centers and nursing homes, because I knew that they were going to need a ready supply of masks for visitors who were coming in, plumbers, electricians, the people who had to enter their building but wouldn't have had masks. And so as I called these different places, they were super receptive because I was local, and that was my way to get in the door with them. Because I would say, hey, look, I'm right down the road from you. You know, I'm a quarter of a mile away from you. I can get you this merchandise. And I was trustworthy because they felt like if they really needed to, they could walk over and knock on my door and call me to account. It wasn't like I was just some strange person calling from across the country going, hey, you want to buy a watch? So there was a level of credibility there that just being a local person had. And so I reached out to those people, and I reached out to local police departments because I knew they would also need PPE of that level. And that is what opened up the doors for selling PPE in the initial months. And then I carried it on to, well, now my clients need to work out of the homes. So large corporations are going to have things like they're going to have to supply some of the things that are in the offices to their home employees. I concentrated on that, and I made sure that my customers had chapstick breath mints and things along those lines. Because if you're wearing masks all of a sudden, you're wondering why the mask smells bad. What's your breath on? So they were getting mints out to their customers, mints out to their employees, and chapstick for people who had raw faces, hand lotion because you're hand sanitizing so much. So there was a lot of that going on. And my last year, I ended my year ahead of the year before, and that had been the best year that I'd ever had prior to any other year in my career. So I finished ahead, and I was only 1/2 of 1 percentage point in margin behind what I had done the previous year. And margin is another thing. You can have volume, but if you don't have good margin, you're doing an awful lot of work for less money.
I was going to bring up the margin point because we had chatted previously, Julie, and I recall you mentioning that you maintained your margins almost to the letter, which is pretty incredible too, given everything that was going on. So so hopefully, audience, these are two people who figured it out at a time when a lot of others won't. So what they're going to now talk about for Q1 is definitely some advice to take to heart because they have navigated this whole situation successfully. So let's get into some of that now, kind of the nitty gritty of why people are listening. And of course, for all our listeners, please type in any questions you might have or comments into the chat. We'll be happy to try to answer them as we go along. So Julie, let's stick with you. What are some of the sales strategies that you're going to put into play in Q1 to make it a success?
Well, building on my immediate success with the people that I'd reached out for in April, May, and June for PPE, this beginning of the year, I've been reaching out to them and saying, okay, the boat has stabilized. You're not sinking anymore. What can I do to get you sailing forward? What other things can I supply to you? What other things do you buy? How do you need to reach your clients now? Because you're not having people that are coming in your door and saying, I'd like a tour. Can I get you bumpy mail? What can I do to further your business? Because the way that you are going to grow is going to be different in 2021 than it was in any other year that you've tried to grow.
All right. And what are you hearing in terms of their receptivity to that? Are clients looking to market? And if so, what kind of solutions are they interested in? You mentioned lumpy mail. Is there things like that or other things that you're doing that are starting to strike a chord?
Lumpy mail has by far and away been my most successful outreach with the people that I am making my new clients, because they need to be able to tell a story along with their product, which their product is their facility. So with lumpy mail, there's a lot of suppliers out there that will do a beautiful fold out romance card with a product in it. And so you can send out a mask and have a lovely romance card that goes along with it that tells the story that you would be telling if the person was in your office and they were reaching out to you on a one-on-one level. But since you don't have that opportunity, you're sending it to them, they're opening it up, and they're reading about your story along with the gift that makes you memorable.
I gotcha. All right. So we had a question come in, and then we're going to kick it over to Chris. But Julie, maybe you could address this question. What is lumpy mail?
Oh, lumpy mail is anything that comes that if you're going to have a letter in the mail that comes in flat, it's not interesting. It could be junk mail. But if it comes in and it's got something in it and it's fat and you can feel there's something in it, You're not going to put it into the junk pile. You are going to open it because you're curious as to what that could be in it. In this case, it was just an EOS lip balm.
Gotcha. Fair enough. All right. So Chris, let's kick it to you. What are some, top 1 or 2 strategies that you're doing right now to kind of power Q1 to some success?
Yeah, kind of what Julie did, but we did it in Q4. I call them COVID contacts, exactly what she mentioned, to really dive in a little bit more to see what they were doing. And then that's transitioning over to Q1. But we're really focusing on our current client base and really expanding on our existing client base. This way, they already know who we are, whether it's new contacts within those organizations or also, I mean, we've added, I think, 4 to 5 more services here. So now it's really penetrating them and asking them what they need, because we find the support services that we're offering that are an extension of your promotional products and branded merch aspect, but more of a demand generation, direct mail, e-commerce platforms, and all of these other things. And now we do complete fulfillment, storage. We're in triple space now. We're in a brand new facility here. We moved in December because no one's in their office space, right? So now they don't have a quote unquote swag closet anymore to go grab stuff. So now we become that another step for them. So we're really just expanding our current client base and working with them. And that's already showing some fruition now into that. And then what we're also doing is very, very strategically researching new clients based on our current client base. And we've identified probably about 10 to 20 new clients, and we're going through and really now starting to talk with them because there is a connection there. It's not a cold call. There's some sort of connection, or we have a really good reputation within that industry, and working on those. So we're really working smarter. We have expanded our staff. We've expanded everything here that we have. So we're just working very, very efficiently and with our marketing and design director on how we can now really get to them in an industry specific micro standpoint rather than a macro email blast. So those are kind of 2 things that we're doing.
A couple things I want to explore there. I want to say that we had another question about lumpy mail come in the chat. We will address that question for the person who sent it in, but I want to stick on something that Chris had started talking about, because I think this is something that, whether you're the biggest distributorship in promotional products or just a solo operating distributor, this is something you could do, is to penetrate deeper into your current accounts. And if you did make relationships through PPE sales last year, to start to migrate those clients over to the promo solutions you can provide. So can you maybe just talk about some of the concrete, and Julie, jump in too if you're doing this as well, just how you guys are kind of penetrating deeper into current accounts and kind of making more from those existing clients?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, the easy part is your current clients and your current contacts within those companies, right? So with them, having conversations about our new services and expanded services. And this could be, let's just say, creative services, because now there's no water cooler talk anymore. Hey, who did you use to create that event logo, the event merch, any sort of design and stuff. So now we have that in-house now. So just having these conversations with our current contacts within the organizations are really helping. And then literally we do a lot of research, and LinkedIn is a huge help with that on other people within that organization. That helps, especially now. HR is bigger than ever because talent retention and appreciation is really key. Chief people officers, is really key because everybody is remote. So still making them part of the team and feel part of the team is very big. Current organizations, what they're trying to do in their spend now. So really identifying new contacts within the company that your current client base. Not only that, just simply asking for referrals. People, a lot of time, they just won't do it because they're afraid of anything else. But if you're confident in what you've done for them, it should be a very simple conversation. Hey, do you mind, sending me an introduction to, John Smith? They're going to do it if you just ask nicely. So that's, I think, the key for what we're doing and how we're doing it is just first and foremost, to eat the conversation with your current contacts within those organizations, and then finding and identifying new contacts within the different departments within that organization, and asking referrals, and then just reaching out to them because it's warmer because you're already working with that company.
Gotcha. All right. Julie, anything that you're doing in that regard, either to expand with your current clients or looking for new clients?
Absolutely. Something that Chris said really resonated. The resources that you already have are springboards for additional resources. In a conversation that I had with you earlier, Chris, I talked about Marie Kondo and how she has inspired me to declutter. Well, one of the things she inspired me to declutter was my file cabinets. I had old catalogs in there that were useless, and I had old hard copy purchase orders in there. Many years ago, when I worked for a different supplier and I didn't own my own company, I had house accounts. And when I left that supplier, those house accounts stayed with the house and I had to develop new business. But I actually had a lot of hard copies from those old house accounts, and that supplier is no longer in business, hasn't been in business for many years. I pulled out that paperwork and I started calling those people, because when I look at this old PO, it's got a direct line, it's got a name, it's got the product that was purchased. So when I call this number, I'm getting an internal number. I'm not having to go past a gatekeeper at a main switchboard. And I'm calling and I'm asking for a specific person who very well could still be at that company, if not even still in that same department. So I sound like a known entity to them right off the bat. There's a comfort level there. I'm calling an internal number. I'm asking for a person specifically. And then if that person's no longer there, either in a different department, I say, well, maybe you can help me. I used to do work for your company many years ago, and I had to walk away from the account, but I would like to reopen that door. What can we do? How can I service your account? There's an advantage in using me because you don't have to train me. I already know how to work your account. For example, I know that you guys like branded merchandise, that you do not want any of your apparel to be anything but branded merchandise. And I know that when you place a big apparel order, because you have a large turnover, I should call you right before that order is finalized, when it's proofed and about to go to be run, to find out if there's any additional things that you need to add to that order, that we can get that on that order and get the merchandise to you that much more quickly. That credibility in knowing how they operate and knowing what types of things they like establishes an instant credibility with me. And I've had very good luck with going through those old files. And I haven't actually found any of the old people yet. I'm kind of sad about that. I was more optimistic that that would actually happen. But the new people that I'm talking to find me trustworthy. And like I said to them, they don't have to train me. I already know how to handle that account.
All right, very good, very good. I think it's some great advice. And we had a number of questions come in, a couple for Chris and a couple for you, Julie. Julie, let's start with this one that came in on lumpy mail. Another one, what method of shipping do you use to send your lumpy mail?
The factories that do lumpy mail offer drop ship abilities, and TechWeld is a really good one to go to. If you provide them a spreadsheet with the addresses, they will take care of the mailing for you. It's just like if you're mailing calendars out, those factories all have those capabilities in place. And the ones that didn't already have them in place, through the course of last year, by now have them in place. Yeah. So any kind of product that you want to order from any of our suppliers, they have all stepped up their game on doing drop ships. And some of them have free drop ships, and it doesn't even hurt to ask, even if they don't, if they can offer that to you on any given project. But if you contact somebody like a TechWeld and you want to do a lumpy mail, they will do everything from start to finish. And all you have to provide them is a spreadsheet with correct addresses on it. And that's one caveat that I would like to make sure everybody knows. If you're doing mailings in 2021, make sure that you have a correct address on those, because UPS or any of the other suppliers are going to come back to you with correction fees if those addresses on the spreadsheet are not correct. So get a spreadsheet to the factory, they'll take care of it for you. It's usually a fee per item, and then the actual postage or shipping of whatever it is that you're shipping.
Yeah, great point, Julie. Real fast, suppliers, just as distributors had to, suppliers en masse pivoted last year, and one of the big things that they did especially some of the larger houses, was get into drop shipment solutions. So if you haven't partnered with suppliers yet on that, talk to some of your preferred vendors, because there's a real good chance that that they might be offering something. So Chris, this question came in for you. Somebody was wondering if you did warehousing prior to I guess your new venture into warehousing. Was that something you did previously?
Very little. We had a very small footprint, so very little bit. So we've expanded out that because of we run e-commerce stores, and before we didn't have to. Now we have to house everything, which is a huge support for our clients, especially that small to mid-sized businesses, without a doubt. And then the larger clients, we have some partners that we work with as well on the fulfillment standpoint.
Okay. All right. This could be a whole podcast in itself if we got into the fine details of warehousing, but is it like, just, you want to give a couple top of mind best practices for people who might be interested in doing the same?
Yeah, you got to be careful. I would say number one, make sure you have the clientele in order to do it, because once you start investing in overhead, obviously that's going to change your pricing structure and everything of that nature. So we've always partnered with 3 different fulfillment centers across the country: East Coast, West Coast, and West. But then, with this, we had the support to be able to really make that expenditure and commitment to the fulfillment and warehousing portion, which we're doing now at our new space, at our new location.
All right, gotcha. And this was another question that came in, I think, right on the topic. Chris, what were some of the new services that you added other than warehousing and creative with these kind of complementary solutions?
Sure. So you mentioned warehousing and creative. Also, we've extended our e-commerce platform. So not only just setting up the stores, but we're doing the front end, back end, and design of those as well, and then integrating like Instagram and your social media into that. So we actually have retainers from companies in order to handle their social media, which helps obviously drive traffic towards your e-com. So we make sure that everything is connected. Within that e-com space, also pop-up stores, digital pop-up stores we've been doing, especially during the holidays, which was really fantastic. We do at-home kitting now, so we can create your own custom kit. Kind of like, we'll call it the lumpy mail, but really extending a box in the kit. So we have different price points and categories, so we've expanded out. You can do a completely custom one, or ones that already fit within a certain circumference of a box. So then you get to pick a certain items in it. So it's really kind of fun and creative for the clients to go and do that. And it's and then we pick, pack, we fulfill, we do everything on that box standpoint there. I think those are the major ones that we've added. Obviously PPE, we still have a whole line of that. So not only the masks, fabric, medical, your hand sanitizing stations. We did that a lot for retailers, a lot of that. So PPEs, I think everybody's kind of got it, but we have a complete, catalog and ways to interact with our clients on a digital standpoint.
All right, gotcha. Another good question came in, and this is something that you both have answered to a degree, but maybe if there's some other strategies you could discuss as well. There's a question about, I think it pertains to Microtouches rather than like mass marketing. How are you and your colleagues kind of having those touches with clients and prospects to kind of push promo was the phrasing used, but we'll say kind of build those new relationships to sell promotional products to them, transition them out of PPE. Other things you guys are doing, and Julie, we can start with you.
Sure. The people that that I'm looking at, that I'm transitioning from being PPE only sales to the full realm of promotional products, they're mostly senior centers and old age homes. And so demographically, the people that they're targeting are middle-aged people with aging parents who are possibly ill. So whatever you're doing with whatever group you're transitioning from PPE only to the other items that you want to sell them, you need to learn that what their demographic is, so that you can present them with ideas that are positive ideas that they will be well received by them because they understand that you understand what their clientele is and who they're trying to reach. And I mean, truly, that's what you need to do with any customer. You also need to assess what level of customer they are. You know, if it's a really small run place and they just needed you for masks and you know that they're not going to be selling, that they're going to be an occasional buyer, they're probably not the ones that you're going to work the hardest at. You need to decide which one is going to be a loyal customer, which one is going to be a consistent buyer, which one is going to be an occasional buyer. And when you rank those people, that's who you decide to target first. The consistent buyer is the one that you want to target the most. And those are going to be larger facilities with more outreach in the community if it's something like what I've been doing with my PPE transitioners.
Got it. How about you, Chris? Those micro touches.
Yeah, well, I think this is kind of going to go into our next topic on the marketing strategies, but
Okay.
I'll kind of just jump right into that because I think it really correlates to, you know, sales and marketing are the same. You really need one with the other. So the difference between the micro and the macro standpoint. So instead of just sending out a random email blast with, you know, a mug to everyone, really break it down. So you can break it down into categories, and that's what we've done. So our client base is into categories, and then we have break it down on the micro subcategories. So one category could be beer, wine, and spirits. And then your subcategory could be your beer, and then even another subcategory could be your craft beers, right? So you can really break it down, and then knowing with what's been successful in those industries, and even at whether it's the point of sale, you know, at retail, obviously a lot of people aren't at bars or restaurants at this point, but then you can break it down into the categories, knowing the buying behaviors of each of those categories and subcategories. Right, so that's what we've been doing. So that's kind of the micro macro standpoint of it. And you can break that down even further into what we're doing, like a lumpy mail or a direct mail piece now at homes. Same kind of thing to make sure you're understanding that audience. And lastly, we're implementing coming up this quarter, just like the, you know, the software, the tech industry, demand generation. So we're going to put in a demand generation program in order to create opt-ins. And those opt-ins can be number one, will be for information, more information about Boost and how we can help you, right? So that's a click opt-in, and then reward them with something. Maybe that would just be, let's just use the mug because we just said that. But then number two, if they opt in now for a meeting, whether it's a physical or Zoom, however it may be at that time, then they're going to get pack B, right? So this is, we work with so many different technology companies that have the demand gen. Because of the rules and regulations that are in place with opt-ins, they can't just be sending stuff to people. So now we're actually implementing that same strategy in our business in order to do that. And again, that's going to break it down. Those information packets that they get on those opt-ins is all going to be pertaining to what they actually do and what we know their buying behaviors and usage is within those categories. So I kind of went off on a tangent, but to answer the questions that from the macro and the micro, that's how we're doing it. But then that's how we're segmenting all of our marketing and sales strategies are based on those very, very unique and really, I guess, sales conversations that are very, very targeted.
Yeah, they're very defined to a specific niche. And
absolutely, because we can't, we're all sitting in front of our computers right now talking into a screen, right? We can't engage and have those conversations and see their behaviors and see their real true reactions. You know, you can see them on a screen, but this is the way we're doing it in order to really have those meaningful conversations that are going to add value and make sure that we're creating value for our clients.
Got it. All right, we're going to, I love that you segued into marketing there. We're going to get into that because as you pointed out, marketing there, it's got to be symbiotic they have to work together. We did have a couple questions come in, and sometimes, you know, I think we overlook this, but, you know, we're a products industry. You know, we're selling solutions, but those solutions are built around products, right? So we had someone asked what you think some of the hottest products will be for Q1. Julie, what are you seeing in terms of like products that are really looking good for the market right now?
Well, one of the hot products that I'm finding almost every single one of my customers has been receptive to is the light up selfie ring that pops onto the top of your laptop or the top of your phone. There's good ones and bad ones out there. The good ones will have adjustable lighting settings. And this is also a piece that can be lumpy mail. So it's got that added advantage of you're able to tell a story with the product. That is huge. And any of the smart products that have the chips in them, because if you have the opportunity to data mine your clients when you send things out, and I'm not talking about me data mining my clients, I'm talking about my clients data mining their demographic potential. If they have that ability to get that information, you know, when I was looking to do self promos that were in the hard part, the really hard part of summertime when people were really hurting, I sent out self promotions like they were going out of style, because I've always told my clients, you need to market yourself the hardest when times are hard. It's easy to do it when the money is flush, but you have to do it when the times are hard, because that's what makes you stand out above everybody else. So I'm encouraging my clients to take advantage of the chipped items so that they can get that information back. Now they've got the client's email address, their home address, and they can use that information to send them out the lumpy mail, and they can be very specific, like Chris said, you know, with under the umbrella of a main category, you can be doing things that are very specific to each demographic group that you're sending out. If you're a university, you've got alumni, you've got incoming freshmen, you've got student base that's already there. They're all three going to need something different. But if you're data mining all of those people, you've got the information of where to send the right product.
Julie, we had a quick question, and we'll give a quick answer to it. If you would, just what can you explain briefly what smart products are?
There's Spectre Image, I believe, has a bunch of different products that are readily available with a microchip that's in them. And this intelligence product will allow you to direct the client to a website. If they hold their phone over that particular item, their phone will automatically bring up a screen that directs them to whatever website the client wants it to go to. And it can be a variable website. And so once they bring that screen up, then they start filling in the information, and each screen, depending on how complex your chip is, and there's varying degrees of them, some of them will only let you get to one splash screen. Some of them allow you to take variable trips down each, like if they answer A, it'll take them to this next screen. If they answer to B, it'll take them to a different screen. So there's different levels of intelligence of where you can direct them, and you can direct them to a website that simply asks them what their email address is, what their home address is, and how it's the best way to contact them. I mean, they can be very simple products. And that programming comes when you buy the product. And like I said, there's all different products now that have that stuff in, keychains and pens. You can literally have those products become a landing page to your client, so your client can data mine their clients.
So bottom line, talk to your suppliers about those kinds of solutions if that's something that you're interested in, because it does exist out there, and it sounds like it's an extremely valuable tool for your end clients, or for your clients, which makes it valuable for you. So Chris, what are some products that you're seeing here in Q1 that seem to be really getting the interest of people?
Yeah, I would say there's not one particular that really just kind of flies out there. I think that, like Julie said, the tech category will always be big, but now more than ever, since you are working remotely, wherever that is, it's very important to have the complements of various tech items. But I think as far as just an overall standpoint on a category, kits that we're doing, I mean, we send out hundreds and hundreds of kits a week, whether they're onboarding kits for talent, acquisition, whether they're just employee kits, but also within those kits are really just items that they can use themselves with their families, because we have to be empathetic to where people are at and in the challenges we're in. They have to be moms and dads. They have to be school teachers, all with the remote learning and everything else. It's kind of insane what they have to go through, whether it's the dad or the mom. So really, items that really just help them within that, or maybe just relaxation, anything that really said, hey, we care about you and we're here for you and we understand the challenges that you're going through.
Name me two products real quick that you're maybe consistently including in those packages that accomplishes those things.
Yeah, well, any type of drinkware, obviously, in order to do that. And then it's been a beverage, so tea or, listen, we just did a mass thing for almost 2,000 employees with wine. So, right,
Okay. Okay.
whatever those beverages to make them feel more at home and relax and kind of get
We're all
through.
above 21 here, Chris. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that just to make them feel like, wow, I really need this, instead of having your virtual happy hours, they can actually open the bottle and drink it themselves.
All right, got it, got it. So there is a question about cold calling. I'm going to come back to that a little bit later because I want to move on to marketing now, but we will address that question. So let's, Chris, you had gone into before some of the marketing strategies that you're using. Julie, maybe you could tell us a little bit just how, and you've touched on it a bit already, but just how you're marketing this year in Q1.
Well, Chris said it exactly. We're dealing with people who are chief cook and bottle washer all at once at the same time. And so because there's so many things that they're doing, I try to target also the other people that are in their home. For example, I did Christmas in July and I wrapped up Christmas presents and it was foam soap. And that's something that everybody can use. They walk in the door, they throw their keys in there, they throw their wallet in there, they throw their credit cards in there, they throw their phone in there. And that's something that the entire family can use. So that product then is placed front and center in their office space, which is now their home. So I tried to think along those lines. What can I get them that's going to be in there and is going to be used by everybody? Additionally, I did blankets, so that their coworkers could have snuggle time. If mom held up the blanket and put that over them on the couch, that meant she had a Zoom call and they had to be quiet. I also did things like chocolate bombs. Chocolate Inn has a chocolate bomb. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's a ball of chocolate that you put into hot milk. And as the chocolate melts in there, all of a sudden the thing opens up and marshmallows and cocoa pour out and it turns into a cup of hot chocolate. So, the mom gets the chocolate bombs in the package and the family all sits around and enjoys that together. So she still is reflecting on that was a gift from me, but it was a gift to the whole family.
Got it. Very good, very good. And Chris, other marketing strategies that you're putting into play, or you want to expand on some of what you were talking about before, whatever you think's best.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of went over the 3 key points that we're doing, which is, the email targeted marketing, email blasts, the demand generation program, direct mail, and then social. I guess social we didn't really go into. So I've made a real point to get us more. I mean, our Instagram is really good, but now we're connecting, the Facebook with it. But I think the number one platform we're going to really go after is LinkedIn this year. And because you can't pick up the phone and call the company anymore, no one's there, right? So you really have to target the individual. So I think the more exposure we have on LinkedIn, the better as a company and as me as an individual. I don't like to be the center of attention at all. Boost is 13 years old, and this is the first time that I'm actually getting out in front. I mean, I've been doing a lot with ASI, of course, but I even started my own Instagram, account, which I really didn't want to. I think now more than ever, people are more apt to really deal with the human element of work, because it's not just work anymore. Like if there's no kids running around in a Zoom call, then it's not a Zoom call anymore. And so those relationships are really, really tight. So it's not like my Instagram is not about me. Hey, look at me, look what I'm doing. It's more of like, do I think people are going to be like the entrepreneur? Because I'm not on Boost, I'm an investor in several other companies. I'm all about nutrition and health, especially during this virus situation. Really kind of promoting that way, which again, in our blogs, you got to tag me and correlate it. So they're going to actually link up together. So I think that's a huge issue that we're doing now. So not only as a company wide, but as an individual and a face of Boost and getting myself out there. So that's a huge initiative we're doing.
I like that you mentioned LinkedIn, because that seems to be a platform a lot are focusing on. And again, this could be, I know this could be a whole other hours long discussion, but just what are some strategies you're looking to put into play into LinkedIn?
Yeah, so really getting the company page involved, where we've been a little lackadaisical, to be quite frank, on that company page. We would throw some stuff as an afterthought, or I even would, I would get involved, and I do my own LinkedIn posts a lot from my personal, but now that we have some people here, they are taking over for me and helping me and really organizing, planning all of these posts to what's the topics at hand today. Like
Mhm.
right now, we know we're putting together a complete thing on shipping because it's a disaster from China and everywhere else. The ports are backed up to no end. There's a truck shortage, you name it. So really educating about what's happening in the world of merch, because it's not just look at this mug, isn't it great? No, there's a lot of other effects of our business that I think there's more attention on LinkedIn, because you can't just cold call physically, pick up a phone and call a company anymore. You really have to engage the people at home or on their technology, whether it's their phone or their laptop. So that's why we're really putting a lot of emphasis and focus on that B2B, even though it is kind of B2C-ish, but because of the situation that we're in, where everybody's at home, I think more people are utilizing that and utilizing as a communication channel as well. I mean, I'm getting a lot of, I'm communicating with a lot of folks that say they went to another job. You don't have their email,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you don't have the
yeah.
phone number anymore unless you have their mobile phone, which a lot of people, at that point didn't give out. So I think it's a very, very key going forward. I think LinkedIn's going to be very, very big.
All right, and we had a question come in. Apparently, I asked about the wrong platform because they want to know about Instagram now, and you spoke to it a bit, but you just either you could jump in on this. Just what might you be doing just on Instagram? Because it's as we always say, it's not a hard sell medium. You're not getting on there and saying, hey, 25% off. Like look at me. You're it's a lot more organic and natural. So you want to just talk briefly about that, maybe?
Yeah, I'll just keep going since I'm talking, Julie. Sorry, but what we do is we really put in, so we use the suppliers as well, because suppliers are key to a lot of this. You can go in and drop a logo on something and put it out there, but they have professional photographers out there putting together these wonderful catalogs and imagery. So we're utilizing the imagery, and we're trying to connect it as well with different, not just a picture of a product, but we have all the data and the analytics now of what post, what time, what's more engaging post, how do you do that? And then if it's a national X day, which it seems like every day is some sort of day, days, doing that as well, and putting that in there. And then really, I do a lot myself, but we do a lot of direct messaging, a lot of DMs, not like the kids these days, but DMs, because again, the buyers and other people are engaging in technology. Wherever they're at, we're at. So we're about consumer behavior. We follow where the consumers are at. So Instagram, you can DM them very something easy. Hey, I love what you're doing. Keep it up. And then they know who you are and what you're doing. And not asking for something, not doing a hard sell, but just really engaging and communicating that way. We found that to be the best, but we're still playing with it. Listen, we're still playing with it. And now consumer behaviors are changing again and again, and they will especially now when everybody's at home, but now they're going back to school a little bit, or they're getting back into the office. So we're really working on that. And then one platform, a new platform, Clubhouse, I just got on a few weeks ago. You got to be invited, and it's absolutely amazing. I think it's going to change the world. Kind of a bold statement for a social media thing, but it's really, I mean, I was just having a conversation with some professional athletes on Saturday night. I know my Saturday nights are crazy, but that's what we're doing. And I think it's going to be a really awesome networking platform. And I've already connected with 5 people from that, and I literally just been on offline. So it's been a great tool.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have a podcast coming up on Clubhouse within the next couple of weeks. So everybody who's listening, look out for that too, because I happen to agree. I think it's going to be an impactful medium. Julie, I want to go to you though here to talk about this question that came in before. It was on cold calling, and and some people are like, can you even really do that? Well, yes, you can still. You can still cold call. And the question is, what's your best advice to cold call and win a client? What are some strategies that have worked for you?
Well, LinkedIn is an absolute treasure of a resource. If
Mhm.
you have a target in mind, say, what, not talking about old POs aside, if you're looking at somebody entirely new, you can
Mhm.
research on LinkedIn who are the correct people that you need to get in touch with that are going to be in the correct department.
Mhm.
And you can also stalk them on Facebook and find out what their likes and dislikes are.
Mhm.
And a really good thing to do is if you have to get past a gatekeeper, if you know the name of the person that you're asking for, the way that you phrase your ask can do everything to get you past a gatekeeper. If you call up and you say, "Hi, I'm Julie Woodall, and I'm calling from Promotion Perfection, and I'd like to speak with the person who does your marketing,"
Mhm.
that's not going to get me anywhere. The gatekeeper knows that I don't know who that is. But if
Right.
I go, "Hey, it's Julie, can you connect me to Marie in
Mhm.
marketing?" And all of a sudden, it sounds like there's a relationship there to that gatekeeper, and they're less likely to try to keep me out. And
Mhm.
so they'll put me through to Marie, and I'll say, "Hi, Marie, I'm local to your area," and I always try to establish that presence,
Mhm.
that I'm trustworthy. I'm somebody that you can find easily,
Yeah.
and I was wondering if there's something that I could help you with. Here's where I have had success in your arena. I'd like to do the same thing for you. And the next big step with any kind of cold call is then to listen, because they want to talk about themselves. You know why you called them in the first place. You want to get their business. You need to find out what they want to tell you at that point. Are they interested in pricing? Do they just want product presentation? Is price everything to them? Like, it's got to be the cheapest thing?
Mhm.
Or, find out what their pain is. Ask them on the last order that went south for you, what was the problem? And then tell them how you would take steps to make sure that that would never even come up to them.
Mhm.
If you get to have this conversation for any length of time, your personality is going to dictate whether they end up falling in love with you and giving you a test run. And you can always say, "You know what, it doesn't hurt to kick the tires. Let me quote to you." You can always compare me to somebody else. And then I do like to remind people that when I'm cold calling them, I tell them right off the bat that when I'm sending them quotes, I'm going to send them a fair price quote right off the bat. I said a lot of people try to lowball a new client to show that they've got this really great pricing, and then they slowly over time inch that pricing back up. I don't do that. I always offer you a fair price on a quality product, and that's what I will do right from the get-go. And I think that being honest with a new client establishes trustworthiness, and that's really what any salesperson needs to move forward.
I love the way you start your call though, that have that very natural approach. You've done your research ahead of time. You know who you should be talking to, and you could come to it with some knowledge of that person, and in a tone that suggests like, hey, this is already an ongoing relationship. Just call and take care of this real quick, and that gets you past that gatekeeper. And it's I think an often not used strategy, but should be. So some of those key elements there for the person who asked that question are definitely do your research in advance, and then take that nice natural tone. Know who you want to be talking to. A couple other questions came in to the one that asked about Clubhouse. Yes, the name of the new platform is Clubhouse. Like, you've joined a Clubhouse. We're not going to get too in depth into it here because it's new and it's not the main thrust. But Google it, and there will be, as I say, another ASI podcast on this. So
Hey,
Chris and
Chris, can I
Julie.
just jump in? Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions on Clubhouse, feel free to just shoot me a note, and I'm happy to take some time to talk to you about it.
Yeah, you know how to
Perfect.
get a hold of him. The dude's on Instagram, people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. There you go. So we're talking about Q1 and focusing our strategies there, because that's where we're at. But Q1 doesn't exist in a bubble. It's connected to Q2 and the whole year and on and on. So kind of with that in mind, how might you guys adapt, if at all, your sales and marketing strategies as you go into kind of Q2 and beyond? And Julie, we'll stick with you to start this one off.
Honestly, the things that I'm doing in Q1 are strictly building blocks for Q2, 3, and 4. This
Mm-hmm.
entire year has to be about building new ways to reach the demographic that your client desires. And so I'm doing research on those people. For example, one of my customers deals almost entirely with bank people. And so I'm doing research to find out what is happening in the banking industry, so that when I come to her and say, hey, I've got this great idea for you, I know that the banking industry is doing XYZ right now. And I think that this is something that they are worried about in general in the workplace. So if you present along these lines, they understand that you're empathetic to their problems and they're going to love you for it. So it's really all about research and the little extra something, the lagniappe that you provide to your client. If you are doing something a little above and beyond the call of duty, or I'm not just pushing a pen at them, I'm saying you need this pen that erases, because these people, sometimes they're going to write something and that's not going to be the important thing. They want to take that away. So whatever it is that I'm presenting to them, I need to have a reason for it being important to their recipient, and to give them the tools that they need to sell it internally then.
All right, very good. Chris, how about you?
Yeah, the question was what? Can you repeat it again?
Yeah, no problem. We have been going on a bit, haven't we? So, just Q1, right? It's kind of an artificial barrier, right? Like it's connected to Q2 and the rest of the year. How are you going to adapt, if at all, your sales and marketing strategies through the year to kind of account for the marketplace?
Well, I think I never, I do plan for the year, but as of last year taught us, you could throw that out the window, really. Right? So we're really focused on Q1, and then whatever happens in Q2, because who knows what's going to happen in the world, whether it's political, whether it's health-wise, whether the virus, or what, we don't know what's going to happen. So we're focusing on doing that. But like 3 things that we do, I think all the time, and it can really translate into any quarter or anything, is really number 1 is, like you mentioned, just adapt to the new climate, adapt to everything that's coming at you. Because if you can't, I'll use the word pivot, if you can't pivot and change or adapt with anything that's thrown at you, you're going to be one of those companies that don't make it, right? So I think that's number 1. And number 2, you've got to focus on service. Like you've got to. We're a service company. We're not a product company in any way, shape, or form. I don't have a widget. I don't sell a widget. We're a service company. We're here to help you when you have a need, and whatever that may be. That need may be, a new tire kit, or it may be things like PPE to protect your human life. Like we don't know what that is now, and we really play a big role in this. And then lastly, I think people have to really focus on tightening up their internal processes, because what we saw, if not anything in 2020, the past 12 years have been awesome. Running a business is, I'm not going to say easy. It's never easy. It was easier than other environments. I was ready 3-4 years ago for a downturn, and it never happened. We're all waiting for that downturn. It never happened. But when this happened, we were financially stable and cash flow positive, easier to make it through this, where a lot of companies laid off a ton of people, furloughed a ton of people. They weren't ready for this. And I don't know what they're doing, but you've got to make sure that. So once you have that core structure in place, I think those 3 things, that's going to correlate to any quarter, because you can adapt to a new category, whether it's PPE or something else at that point. And you can hire new people because your internal processes are stable and in place. So make sure your policies and procedures are in place in order to do that. We're scaling now at a level we've never scaled before, but if I didn't have the stability in place, we'd be a disaster, but we don't, right? So we really have, I think with that, and that transitions into sales, because if your POs aren't late, your invoices aren't late, your payments aren't late, you're not messing things up because the internal communication is horrible. You don't have Slack or one of these wonderful platforms in order to communicate properly, or any project management tool. You're dead in the water. So that's kind of the things that we're doing and we're seeing for Q1 and 2 and beyond.
All right, very good. Thank you. Now, we had another question come in. It's one that you're both well positioned to answer. It's about time management. You impressed some people with how much you both are able to accomplish. And they're just asking if you have some maybe top of mind, time management or organizational tips. I know, Julie, you've been undertaking on an organization bent lately. So maybe tell us a bit about some of what you're doing and how it's working for you.
Well, my Marie Kondo theories have actually made a huge difference. Paring down. keeping a clean desk. You know, sometimes I look at this disaster of an area that I'm working in and I'm like, all right, I have to take 2 minutes and clean this and organize it. Prioritize lists. Lists are the best thing that you can possibly do, because if you have a list of things that need to be done, and at the end of every day you look at what hasn't been done, or you look at that list that's been completed and you start your list of tasks for the next day, you are absolutely positioned to get everything done that you need to and not let that ball drop through the crack. If you have something that's on your list that's not checked off and you're procrastinating against it, well, the next day you put that on the top of that next list. And one of the things that I also recommend, and I know that people are working from a home environment, and so maybe it's easy to sit there in your pajamas with that cup of coffee. Sweatshirt sales are up 375% in 2020. I'm sure that the salespeople that are out there that sell apparel know you can't get black Gildan t-shirts. The mask companies have all taken over production of what would have been cut and sew shops in like the Honduras, which had hurricanes. I mean, there's so many things that has happened that were bad for that industry. So wearing a sweatshirt isn't maybe your best move. Get up every morning, take a shower, dress professionally, sit down at a clean desk with your list in front of you, a nice cup of coffee or iced tea or whatever your beverage of choice is. Just don't make it whiskey. That's not going to be beneficial. And buckle down and start your day on time. Take a break when you normally would have taken a break at the office. Go right back to work. Don't start watching soap operas in the middle of the day or whatever it is that you would Netflix or anything like that. Leave your TV off until after work hours. I mean, those are solid time management skills that just are basic. And if you follow them, you'll get your stuff done.
Gotcha. Chris, how about you? And maybe there's a question about some of the project management tools that you use as well. So maybe you could incorporate that into your answer as well.
Sure. Yeah, so on a time management standpoint, I don't know. I fit everything in, and if I don't, I'm gonna go to bed. It's like, I start my day at 4:30 a.m. every day. I get up, I do I do my meditation, I do my stretching. I'm at the gym by 6 o'clock because it only opens at 6 now, so I gotta wait. And then I get right into it. I get into my day, and you make sure you have those, like Julie was saying, those short wins. You make sure you make a check mark on some of those things, and put the ones that are literally, pain in the ass, put them first.
Yeah.
Get done and get moving, and keep going. Because now I think time management is what you make of it. It's no more 9 to 5 anymore. You're not in the office. You might have to help your child at school, with remote learning. So really just put in the time that you need to get stuff done. And that could be at 9 o'clock at night when everybody's in bed, right? So there is no, it's called self-discipline. If you don't have it, you're in the wrong industry. Like I don't know what to say. With that, like I barely watch TV. I listen to podcasts, I educate myself, I read books. I do what I need to do to make sure that I'm ahead of the game all the time, and try to educate myself, because I don't know everything. That's for sure. But I make sure that I'm always educating myself. I'm not getting fired up on Facebook on what the election was or not was, or what the virus is doing or not doing. Understand the broad strokes of what's happening in the world, but really just get things done and put your head down. And on a project management standpoint, there's so many different tools, whether it's Slack, whether it's like a Mondays, Mondays is another platform, Basecamp. There's so many various platforms out there that you can integrate all your project management with your account teams, designers, and everybody else, and you really invite the people that need to be within that project. It's really helps, because within that there's task management things. So then hey Chris, you got to do this. Hey Julie, you got to do that. And when your task is done, when whatever department you're in, because you're not in the same, you're remote, done. That way, on the total, whoever's a project manager on that or account manager on that, and the team lead can see that everybody's projects have been done, what time they were done, or if somebody was slacking, hey, why isn't this done? This needs to be done. There was a due date, a due time, etc. So there's plenty of different project management platforms out there.
Okay, and I heard you say Slack. I think Monday.com it is, right? And Basecamp.
Monday, Asana, Basecamp. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's slight variances in all of them. So just check them out, whatever works best for your organization.
Gotcha. We're nearing the end, and I'm gonna skip to one question here, but we had one other question come in a little earlier, and I just want to address it. It was a question about shipping wine and alcohol. Just are you relying on suppliers to do that, or do your partners have a liquor license to ship? That was the question that came in.
No, we do it ourselves, and we utilize a company that has the license. So what they do is they send us the labels, kind of FedEx labels for that. Mm-hmm. There's restrictions, so you got to make sure if you're doing wine, it has to be to residences, residential homes. You can't ship hard alcohol to homes, but you can ship them to companies. So there's so many regulations in there. So make sure you just get educated before you start pitching your client that particular thing. But there are companies out there that you don't have to go and invest in certain licenses in that, but they have them. So they literally, you send them your contact list and they will create all the labels for you and email them to you.
All right, awesome. For everybody, thank you for sticking with us. If you have any final questions, now is the time to put them in, and we'll try to get them addressed before we jump off. But just, Julie, I'll start with you. Just what is some final thoughts, some big takeaways from our discussion today or about Q1 that people should kind of bring home with them?
Well, I think that anytime that you're reaching out to somebody new, and that refers to cold calling or lukewarm calling, where it's a client who's already in existence, but you haven't had previous contact with them, remember to do it optimistically. If you're talking like this and people can tell you sound down, but if you have a smile on your face and you're talking to somebody, they can hear that in your voice. So remember, moving forward into Q1, if you're going to expand on your client base, do it with a very positive attitude. Do your homework, find out about them, find out what they do and who their client is, so that you can be an intelligent resource for them right off the bat. And don't forget about your old clients that you just don't hear from very often. I came across a picture of a book on Facebook. It reminded me of a client. I sent her a message and she was like, "Oh, great, I'm so glad you called me. I meant to order those chargers again. I've got a 1,000 charger order for you. I'm going to shoot you an email right now." So just be positive and take every opportunity, and don't think that just because it's a small opportunity, it isn't going to lead to something greater.
All right, very, very well said. Chris, how about you? Kind of final thoughts, takeaways?
Yeah, I think Julie kind of hit it on the head. It's mindset. I mean, we can sit here and give you every strategy, every by the book, sales 101 and doing it. But if you don't have the proper mindset to do this, then you're in the wrong headspace. If whatever you want to say about 2020, just get rid of it. It's gone. Today's a new day. It's 2021. I don't get, you want to put a number on it, right? It's 2021. How about that? Let's go. Move. It's one page, and don't let something happens today affect you tomorrow. It's a new day. It's a new time. Refocus. If you want to get mad, great. 90 seconds, get it out, and then move on. Right? Move on. Because I think we could sit here and give you all the strategies and all the, marketing strategies and sales strategies and everything else. But if you're just sitting in the same, with your sweatshirt on, and sitting there and just kind of going about it and, making up excuses, it's the year, it's COVID, it's anything else, then you're creating your own destiny.
Yeah, and not a good one. Very well said. So we had two come in. We're a little over, but let's see if we could address them for everybody. Just someone was asking, should they pay for the LinkedIn premium package, or is the free standard package good? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think it's worth it to pay for the premium package. I think that not only does it show to the people who are looking for you on LinkedIn that you're committed, it just, every time that you can present a better face or put a better foot forward, you should take that opportunity. Always be improving yourself, always be improving your image. And when people come to you and they see what you're offering, they'll be impressed with you and they'll take that chance.
Very good. Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe if you're really not, utilizing it right now, just utilize it. Get acclimated with it. Get comfortable with it. Then do the free trial. Then make the commitment. But in the end, I mean, listen, the service works. So if you want to, again, make that commitment, I think it's whatever, $60 a month or something like that. You know, one order doesn't pay for the year.
Yeah. All right. Got it. And last one here. We're going to cut it after this one. Just kind of a technical question. What is a pop-up shop? And I think they're referring to an online pop-up shop. Is that something you want to just explain briefly?
Yeah, sure. You can think about it pre-COVID. You know, you go to Times Square and all the empty retail space during the holidays became people's stores for a certain duration of time. So we take the same thing. You can have an e-commerce platform, but then if you do a pop-up shop, let's say we'll do it for the holiday season, and it's just for the internal employees. They can go in and choose this, you know, pre-designated items within that e-commerce platform. We call it a pop-up store. And then they can pick and choose, and when you can order right through the platform online. So it's a specific duration of time that you put up any type of goods for any purpose, depending on what it is, whether it's event merch, whether it's holiday merch, whether it's, you know, anything like that. And then when it closes, it closes. And then you collect all the data, all the orders, and then you place your orders with the suppliers.
All right, very good. We're going to call it there. Julie, Chris, thank you both so much for giving well over an hour of your time to share some of your strategies with us. I learned a lot. I hope it was very helpful. We had pretty high engagement the whole time from all our listeners. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. I hope it was fruitful for you. And Julie, Chris, best of luck in 2021. Thank you again.